what is happening in Europe is that they have suddenly realized that a big brother is no longer the big brother. So,
It is a big bully.
yes, so now they have to look for options. And unfortunately, today, if you look at the military strength of Europe, it's very, very dismal. They can't go to America now because of these kind of relations. They have been soured and they don't want to buy American equipment any longer. Because moment if you buy American equipment, you are bound by that MRO, maintenance, repair, and over a period of time, 20 years dependency, 30 years dependency. They are now looking for a partner who is trustworthy, who is not overbearing. We are looking for a collaboration in the artillery systems. We are looking for ammunition, and especially 155 ammunition, which is a universal caliber ammunition, which is used all guns in the world today. We are looking at co-production of this ammunition, and I think Adani is going to come up in a big way. We are looking for propulsion technologies. We are looking for sensors. We are looking for electronic subsystems. So this is what Europe also wants for itself. So here is a combination of cheap labor, cheap production costs available, and manufacture. You would have actually seen also there are hardly any joint ventures here in India with regard to Europe because everything is done there. Now what has happened is because of the geopolitical change, they want India badly. We don't have that kind of technology which Europe has as far as cyber capabilities are concerned. And then we have electronic warfare, another very important area, autonomous systems and secure communication. It's a big step because already more than 300 startups are working with defense. But uh, tangible work is being done only by about 10 to 15 startups.
Europe is threatened by Russia. Given that, taking that into consideration, you have an interesting axis here. So it is EU, India, Russia. Is it one of the draws behind this? Are they cushioning using India as a pivot?
Considering the distancing of the United States from Europe now, which has already started, and I don't think there's going to be much of a rollback on that, European Union would like to reconsider its geopolitical alliances now. And a strong possibility exists now of a bettering of relations between Europe and Russia. And I think Russia would also want this sort of an arrangement. Europe is looking for quality, price, and timely deliveries, and it is in a hurry. Not many people are talking of the counter-terrorism aspect of the treaty, but I think that is the most vital aspect of the treaty which India is banking upon.
Hi, welcome to Podcast with Pratim. I have with me Major General Rajan Kochhar. Welcome to the show, sir.
Jai Hind, Pratim, and thanks for inviting me to your program.
Jai Hind, sir. Uh, Major General has been very kind to come on this platform time and again. We will discuss about the India-EU Comprehensive Security Pact. The trade part is gaining a lot of attention, but actually people are missing out that it is a three-phase deal. One is the typical trade part. The other is investment. And last one is security. Now, I understand that the security and the investment are interlinked because the security deal has both cooperation and co-production features. So over to you, sir. Why EU needs to strike a cooperation agreement with India? Because I'm asking this, are they preparing for the post-NATO scenario? And we always, from Indian side, generally, not you, but generally people like me, layman, So they look at when you are having some security pact with Russia or USA, we look at it normally as, they are the big brothers, so they will be supporting us, kind of, which is partly true. So in this case, what are the takeaways? What are the responsibilities? Why EU is joining hands with India, and whether they are joining hands with many other countries, and how it is panning out? Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pratim. A very good question because it should be engaging the mind of everybody because everybody is right now talking about cars and automobiles and pharmaceuticals and agriculture, textile, and all because the focus has been on that. But I think people are missing out the larger picture, and the larger picture is the defense and security aspects. Now, 2007 onwards, EU and India have been working on this kind of a deal, and it didn't fructify in the last about 19 years. Why now? What is the changed geopolitical environment that has made it happen? A few indicators, and if you can go back to certain statements of Donald Trump with regard to NATO countries, with regard to EU, that they need to organize their own defense capability and security, and no longer United States will be able to provide that kind of a umbrella, and especially against Russia, because the prime threat to EU is only Russia. China is not a threat, and you because two, three actually factors are one is the geography because of proximity to Russia, and then what we actually saw in Ukraine, what we are seeing in Romania and Poland also, who have been threatened at times from the Russians. And of course, Germany and France are also there. So now, trying to understand this important aspect is very important. So now, what is happening in Europe is that they have suddenly realized that the big brother is no longer the big brother. So
It is a big bully.
yes, so now they have to look for options, and unfortunately, today, if you look at the military strength of Europe, it's very, very dismal. Uh, they
Yes.
can't. They are no match to fight a battle against the Russians, and especially because their defense spending was very, very low. They never considered that because they thought that NATO is there, and NATO is a big alliance in terms of US, Great Britain, France, because these are the three major uh, countries which are part of NATO who have the military strength with them.
Mhm.
Remaining other countries, if you take Sweden, Spain, Germany, Romania, Poland, all these countries really don't have anything with them. So they and Trump also told them that now you must spend minimum 5% of your GDP on defense.
Right.
So they've now realized that they can't go to America now because of these kind of relations. They have been soured, and they don't want to buy American equipment any longer. Because moment if you buy American equipment, you are bound by that MRO, maintenance, repair, and over a period of time, 20 years dependency, 30 years dependency. They are now looking for a partner who is trustworthy, who is not overbearing, something not like a big brother, on equal terms, and they are looking at joint ventures because what here is important is why Ursula von der Leyen made a statement. I want to take your memory to the statement. She made a statement that it's a win-win situation. And why she said a win-win situation? Because both India also get to benefit as well as the Europeans. So now what are we looking at? So you actually mentioned those you major areas where this defense and security is going to actually fructify. But I would take it step by step. The first step is the defense industrial collaboration, or we are thinking of Europe's possessing advanced military technologies and design expertise. And I will single out two important areas where India has been lacking over a period of time is uh, your jet engine technology
Right.
and your turbine, which is turbine actually designs and capability of technology to manufacture turbines for the shipbuilding, because we are importing these items and they are known as the heart of a ship. So we actually don't have these kind of expertise. So we have a strong possibility now that saffron will come to India. There would be a joint venture with Saffron. Airbus already, this process has already started. Let me tell you, before European Union came and all this trade agreement, historic deal and all that, Saffron is already in talks with the Indian counterparts as well as Airbus. So both of them
Sir,
are.
interrupting you for a minute. Now, we know about the Airbus story. Airbus is already building the
Yeah,
freighters,
yeah,
right, for military. C-295. They have set up a plan with Tatas.
absolutely.
And and here is an interesting civil military, I should say. I mean, there is some commonality because India also gives our aviation, civil aviation industry is also more geared towards Airbus. So we can clearly see where it is moving forward. We know about the engine story with GE and the hiccups, right? So we discussed, you came over to this platform and said that about saffron, so whether
Yeah,
saffron can come
yeah,
in, and we are
yeah,
hearing about saffron sometime. So, and one is saffron, but now you are talking about the wider. Of course, they possess the high-end Germany, particularly the manufacturing technologies, right? So, so you are talking about the turbines and engines. And what are the some companies, French companies are already over here, right? Many of them, they may be expanding there. Now, which are the other Germans probably will expand? Is it so?
yes. You see, what Europe is looking for right now, after its stocks have been depleted in the Ukraine war, because Europe also contributed. Germany, if you remember, gave its tanks to Ukraine and other things, and Poland also sent some ammunition over. So, what we are now seeing is that we are looking for a collaboration in the artillery systems. We are looking for ammunition, and especially 155 ammunition, which is a universal caliber ammunition, which is used all guns in the world today. We are looking at co-production of this ammunition, and I think Adani is going to come up in a big way, because in Kanpur we already have medium caliber as well as low caliber ammunition
Don't they
being.
already have a ammunition factory over there? They do.
No, no, they have, but it's not high caliber. It's only a medium
Okay.
and small caliber. So now we are looking at high caliber 155 ammunition. Then we are, most important is what Europe brings to India is the naval platforms, because
Right. They are very strong on that.
they are very, very strong. Their shipbuilding is uh, second to none. So we are looking for propulsion technologies. We are looking for sensors. We are looking for electronic subsystems. So this is what Europe also wants for itself. So here is a combination of cheap labor, cheap production costs available, and manufacture. But one important aspect which will actually come into play is going to be the carbon footprints. Because they have this stringent is carbon law. So and what hearing now is that the concession they made to the US with regard to this law, uh, is being extended to India. If that is the case, I think to some extent, and they've also said that they are prepared to spend the $500 million to help India in improving to a green-based technology. So that is the major actually concern of the European Union. And I think we would need to address it, because unless we address it, we cannot look at a long-term partnership. See, what will happen
Sir,
is,
if I may ask, are you saying that the EU countries may use India as a production hub of those things, I mean, which you are saying about the, I mean, India will definitely be a cheaper cost production center.
100%, because see, normally, if you look at Europe in the last 19 years, why this deal did not come through is because European companies are not fond of coming and setting up base in India.
Hmm.
They like to do it in their own country, because they feel that that would be the right approach. They don't want to venture out into joint ventures. You would have actually seen also there are hardly any joint ventures here in India with regard to Europe, because everything is done there. Now what has happened is, because of the geopolitical change, they want India badly, and they want to reduce their dependence on China also, because they don't want to be over dependent on China
Right.
because of the problem areas which China has.
They are
So
already too exposed to China.
yeah, so now they are looking for diversification of their supply chain to India, which is, I think, a very good thing. And our manufacturing sector, which is absolutely languishing, I would say that, because in terms of technology, in the terms of work culture, we are a lot to improve there. I think now is the time for Indians to sense this opportunity, because they're not going to get this opportunity again and again. Now you have a dedicated market of 2 billion people. 25% of the world's GDP is in these two blocks. So I think this emerging technologies are going to play a very important role, and especially modern warfare. Today, Pratham is shaped by artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities. And cyber, I'd like to bring here to a great extent, because we don't have that kind of technology which Europe has as far as cyber capabilities are concerned. And then we have electronic warfare, another very important area, autonomous systems, and secure communication. These are the areas, and these are very important domains. I think Pakistan is already having sleepless nights now, because the kind of capability which Europe brings to India, I think it's time for us also to gear ourselves up. And one important aspect with a defense industry is the small scale and the medium scale industries, which are getting into the act now, especially getting a market in Europe now, especially IDEX program and your startups. They've announced that they're going to have a startup kind of a coordination center in India, Europe, and they will call all the startups there and offer technology. So for the defense, I'm it's it's a big step, because already more than 300 startups are working with defense, but uh, tangible work is being done only by about 10 to 15 startups. You can put the number as a 300, but actually those 300 are not actually contributing much to the defense effort. It's only 15, 20 of those startups. Now is an opportunity where possibly funding will also come, technology will also come, because what was happening, like I'll give you example of a drone. Uh, you say this drone has been manufactured in India, but the battery of the drone or the semiconductor chips are coming from China. Then that main idea that drone will always be controlled by China, because it has already gone into the technology of yours inside the drone. And and if you think that you can monitor the drone on your Chinese positions, China will turn the drone back towards the Indian positions. So that is the danger of this China actually getting into the technology aspect of yours. And with European Union coming inside, I think uh, it makes the defense sector more resilient against China. Because
Right.
for us, this
Sir,
has been major actually concern.
right. Sir, shifting to, you have really nicely explained the co-production possibilities or the investments and the opportunities of manufacturing growth that we can expect. I mean, it is the military equipment hardware is as good as manufacturing, Indian overall make in India, right? So
Absolutely.
the economy is gaining hugely. And the engineering part is coming to India, meaning you have wider ancillary bases. Right now, you may be merely assembling, as you rightly said about drones. So you may be assembling it, but you need the backup. Sir, let me take you back to cooperation side. Now, it's interesting. India is friends with Russia. Russia has huge exposure in Indian defense sector. EU is now getting a closer friend of India, collaborator, with cooperation, deep cooperation in the defense sector. So it's an interesting when you say that US, Europe is threatened by Russia. Given that, taking that into consideration, you have an interesting axis here. So it is EU, India, Russia. Is it one of the draws behind this? Is it are they cushioning using India as a pivot, or India is allowing itself to use as a pivot between Russia and EU? What is the situation?
Very intelligent question, because very few people have got into this so far, and it is very pertinent. Why I'm telling you this is because only yesterday's statement from the foreign, I think, minister of the EU, that trying to tell India to use its good relations with Russia to stop the Ukraine war. So this process, what you are saying, has already started, because Europe will use India as a cushion, because it knows India has a definite standing with the Russia, and the way Putin came here. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to be there in one of the gatherings. Uh, so that is a very important cushion for Russia, because in the future, any expansionist tendency on the part of Russia to get into Europe will, to a large extent, I think, India would play a very, very major role in this. Point number one. And point number two, considering the distancing of the United States from Europe now, which has already started, and I don't think there's going to be a much of a rollback on that. European Union would like to reconsider its geopolitical alliances now, and a strong possibility exists now of a bettering of relations between Europe and Russia. And I think Russia would also want this sort of an arrangement, because Russia feels threatened by NATO countries, and already Russia is seeing the breaking of NATO. I think it's already started, this breaking of NATO and all. It is no longer, because Trump is actually saying that NATO is hardly a force. It is hardly a military force in which he can depend upon. So if he is making such tall statements and damaging statements, so it is damaging the relationship within the NATO also, and that is why all these 27 countries of the European Union are now looking towards strengthening their own defense architecture. And in times to come, you should not be surprised to see a kind of a unification of defense collaboration, cooperation, and forces in Europe itself. You may find a European army coming into play. You know, where all these countries will be a part of it, and it will be a unified force against any kind of a threat, even against Russia. So I think there is a churning of geopolitics taking place. India is going to play a very important role in this churning, and our own defense sector. You see, today imports, we had set a target of 50,000 crores. I think we achieved around 35,000 crores. We still have a very long way to go as far as our exports in the defense sector is concerned, because predominantly we are dependent on public sector, and we have to slowly start moving towards the private sector. I think we discussed this in your program also earlier.
Right.
So this is important now. Uh, this kind of a relationship which is coming between Europe and India will lead to three things, three important things, I think. First is improvement of our own quality standards. And if the public sector has to remain competitive, it will have to improve its quality. Second would be the pricing. And, and the third is the quantity or the timely, the quantum of euro production. So these three areas, I think, are going to be extremely important. And of course, technology is part of it. And if you get that technology, what Europe offers you, Europe is looking for quality, price, and timely deliveries, and it is in a hurry. And this trade agreement has been pushed through. Let me tell you, they didn't want to wait. They were working day and night in the last 6 months. I think tireless efforts, because Europe wanted it to happen as fast as possible. And also, I can tell you, though they are saying it will take 1 year for the signing of this agreement or the treaty, but I think it will be done in 6 months, because
Okay.
this kind of urgency which
This
is
this is
in.
actually music to our ears
Yes,
because every adversity is an opportunity, and we have seen Mr. Trump creating a huge. Actually, we gained from whatever Mr. Trump did
absolutely.
because we took it very easy. And one shake up and see the reforms that we brought in GST 2, insurance, etc., etc. So, it is helping us. And the new collaborations, new partners. Now, I don't know, this geopolitical, how it pans out, the India, EU, Russia thing will pan out. It has to be seen. It is interestingly because it also has a Chinese component in it. EU is
Yes,
also close to China, and
absolutely.
so future it will be interesting because if these two fights, EU and Russia, if there is a flare up in Ukraine, so India has to suffer also. So that is also the other side of the story. But we will, of course, look at the positive side, the brighter side. Sir, we are at the end of the show, and I would like to hear to know certain things are being told. Like, rather, I would like two things to be told. One, we were told that the Operation Sindoor has helped the Europeans and many people in the world to trust our capabilities. I heard this. I don't know how true is. Number two, they are talking about maritime security. They are talking about, so which I, and they said about trade routes. So I understand that this Red Sea and all these things, they will come. So is it also, I mean, are we going to see the India EU ships or India French or whatever they are coming in? I mean, so far it was US was taking. So is it kind of replacing US in that area, and India will take more role into the safety and security of that trade route, etc.?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because see, Indian Ocean is actually emerging as a critical economic artery for Europe, and Europe also understands it. That a substantial portion of the European trade and energy transits through the region, especially the Red Sea disruptions. We have seen the Western Indian Ocean part of it, uh, the vulnerability of the Europe to a distant maritime instability. And what Europe is seeing is the Indian Navy is already very active in this region. And we have regular our ships, as a matter of fact, 20 to 30 ships, I am told, are being permanently placed in this area. They keep on rotating, but they are there, and their presence is extremely important. So, in case you have a kind of a geographic centrality which India has today, and the expanding naval capability which Europe is going to help us with, you will find in the times to come, we will be able to provide them this kind of security against piracy and all these factors which come into play in these corridors, which unfortunately are very, very volatile. And I would also like to bring in the IMEC here, the Indo-Middle East Economic
Corridor.
European corridor, because this corridor is going to connect India with Europe, and it will be a very, very cost-effective kind of a thing, because the transportation involves, train, the transportation involves road, and of course sea. So you have alternatives available now in your in your supply chain, because you see what COVID taught us is that unless you have alternative supply chains, you will not be able to manage economy. I think Europe understands it. And one last important aspect is counter terrorism. Europe has a force or a police force called the Europol. So Europol is a very, very smart terrorist networks of financing, radicalization, online extremism. This is one of the core areas of Europol, and I think this intelligence sharing and cooperation in forensic technologies and counter radicalization frameworks is really going to help India, because not many people are talking of the counter terrorism aspect of the treaty. But I think that is the most vital aspect of the treaty which India is banking upon.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Counterterrorism is like prevention is better than cure kind of
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
So, and we know in a neighborhood where I heard the Israeli ambassador saying that the Hamas guys are visiting Pakistan and
Pakistan.
Israel. So
Yeah,
things are
yeah,
really hot.
yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining the show. We would, in the future, we would like to talk more about the naval side of the story, because what I understand is that the naval side is going to get a huge boost up.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Pratim. It was a wonderful discussion with you, and I hope your viewers will like it. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.
Thanks. Jai Hind, sir.